Hi, I'm Angus Crescalespi, your host on East Brunswick Television. I'm here today at the New Jersey Folk Festival, the 44th edition, April 2018, and I'm with Professor Carla Savasco. We are at the heritage area of the Folk Festival. I'm very proud of this particular area because we bring about a dozen crafters from all over the state of New Jersey, and they don't just show their finished product, they're actually making and doing things here. I like to think of this as a living outdoor museum where the visitors has a chance to interact with the craftsperson. And the person who put this whole thing together is my colleague, Professor Carla Savasco. And I'm going to turn it over to you, Carla, and you can say a few words about what you did to put this together.
So the heritage area is really exciting because we gather crafters and artists from all around New Jersey to come demonstrate for us here at the festival. So this involves getting in touch with these artisans, and many of them are, because they live in such traditional ways, aren't necessarily on email or the phone. Sometimes we've been sending them things through regular postal mail, which is a big adjustment for our college student-aged student coordinators of the festival. But so this year we're particularly excited to be featuring the 3 native nations of New Jersey. So in this year's heritage area, we have a number of native artists who are demonstrating traditional native arts and crafts for us. We're here with Mary May, who is a South Jersey basket maker, and she is working on a basket. Mary, what are you working on?
I'm working on a low market basket. So the market basket is a traditional basket that was used here in New Jersey, so I decided to cut it down so it'll be shallow, so it'll be a basket that you can show your flowers or your fruits from the garden.
So how would this basket have been used in the past?
Well, market baskets were used just to carry anything that you needed. It would have a bonnet handle, and a bonnet handle is a handle that would be cast over the basket. So any basket that has a cast over handle like this is just a quick, easy grab, carry, easy carrying basket, and that's what it was used for, anything that you needed to carry.
What are some other kinds of baskets that you make?
I make lots of baskets. Mainly the baskets that I make are baskets that were used here in New Jersey, so I consider myself a heritage weaver. And some good examples are this one behind you with the blue, dyed blue, is called a poundfish basket, which pound fishing was a technique of fishing that was used here in the South Jersey area.
So how did you learn basket making?
I am self-taught. So I just decided I really like to do this. I've always worked with my hands. I did a lot of different things. I saw a basket, I wanted to know how it was made, and I basically went to the library, found very few books. I went to a few museums, able to see some of the historical baskets, and I basically figured out, where they started and how to bring them up, and so I really weave from the baskets that were already here.
Where do you get the materials for these baskets?
Well, baskets in New Jersey were traditionally made out of white oak. So they would come from the tree, they would harvest. Today, I do white oak, I work in brown ash, and I also work with, the basket I'm working on now is a material that's reed, so it's like a bamboo and rattan. It's just for, since I sell my work, because that's what I do every day, I make the wares to prepare to sell them, it has a more of appeal, price appeal.
And what would you say is your favorite kind of basket to make? If you could choose a favorite, what would it be?
I have to tell you, the basket I'm working on is my favorite. It's kind of like your kids, you just can't pick. So I put my heart and soul into each piece as I work on them. So I really only make the pieces that I like.
I'm here with Barry Griffiths, who is a duck decoy carver, and he's also a recipient of a Lifetime Achievement Award at this year's 2018 New Jersey Folk Festival. And Barry, tell us what you're working on right now.
I'm working on a rig of redheads for, actually I'm going to put them in the Ocean County Decoy show in September. They have an Ocean County Decoy show every year. They have a rig out in the lake, and they, it's part of their thing, and I'm trying to keep it going,
So can you tell me about how you got into being a duck decoy carver? How did you start?
Well, actually, when I was younger, say like 12 to 14, I wound up going hunting out in the bay and noticed that it was really a lovely situation to admire the ducks when they would come into the decoys. And then I said, wow, I should start making decoys. And that's how it all started.
So your love of hunting and fishing and also of interacting with wildlife made you want to make these decoys. That's fabulous. So can you tell me a bit about the process of making the decoys? Like what are you doing right now?
Well, of course you need wood, and you get 2 blocks of wood and you put them together temporarily as you're carving them. And then after you carve them, then you take them back apart and you hollow them out. Let me just step back and get you a piece that's hollowed out. This bird is around the turn of the century, about 1900, and it's all hollowed out, and it actually fell apart where the nails rusted off. This is how a decoy traditionally is made in the Barnegat Bay for hunting. This is the bottom. They take a cotton rope and put it around here for caulking to keep it from leaking, and they hollow it out, of course, after it's carved. They put it together with like white lead on the flange with the corking. They put lead on the bottom, so if they throw it overboard and it's still dark out in the morning, it uprights itself and it floats good. In the rough water, it doesn't flip over. It stays where it's supposed to and makes it very stable. That's the traditional Barnegat Bay decoy.
So is it hollow so that the decoy can float like a duck on the water?
Well, it's hollow so that, number one, when you put it in your boat, the boat wouldn't weigh so much that it would be bogged down, and the lead keeps it from flipping over as it's in the rough water out on the open bay. Yeah, hollowing them out is a big thing because they would be way too far down in the water, and plus the sneak box, which is the hunting boat, would be bogged down where you wouldn't be able to get it to where you wanted to go.
It's really interesting. So can you tell me about what this object is here that you're using to hold your decoy as you're carving it?
This is actually called a spitzel bunk, and people used them for years. This is a modern version that I actually made myself. You know, when you need something to help you, this actually, you can push it down with your foot and you can pull the wood off with either a draw knife, a spoke shave, or whatever you want to use. And it really is like an extra set of hands. It actually holds the decoy as you're working on it. It's a very simple process, and it winds up working really well. You know, you can move it around sideways, upside down, turn the tail, you know, whatever you want to do. And this is called a spoke shave. These are made in Sheffield, England, and they're one of the best ones. For carving the heads and all, this is my own personal knife that I made. You need certain tools to do certain jobs, and this thing works really good for me because, first of all, I can put my thumb on it, and then I can actually push. You can go this way with your thumb, go this way, and you can put your hand on it and push the top of the blade, and it makes it really easy. This is more of my heritage for love. My whole family, for generations before me, was you know, hunting and fishing in the bay and so forth. I really enjoy doing it. It's just, it's actually a tradition that's should be carried on through generations for these kids. Anybody that's interested in carving should get into it because we're going to lose it if we don't keep going. I'm just hoping that it keeps going for the next few generations because it's important.
Well, Barry, thank you so much for sharing this with us. It's so interesting. And congratulations again on your Lifetime Achievement Award.
Thanks so much. It's been a pleasure.
I'm here with Cliff Matthias, who's going to tell us about these traditional drums that he's making. So can you tell us a bit about these drums, what they're made of, and how you make them?
Sure. I mean, I have a few different styles of drum. There's actual drums that I pre-buy the frames. Sometimes it's a little easier, you know, pre-buying the frames. There's some drums here that the frames are actually made, but you know, the basis of the drum, the foundation of the drum is the frame. And then what we do is I take a piece of rawhide. You can see that big hide laying there, and eventually it kind of, when it's soaked, we soak it in water for like a full day until, you know, when it's soaked, it's soft, and so it stretches, and so we're able to stretch it over the frame, and then I begin working the sinew across and pulling it. So we cut it, pop a hole, pull it, cut a pop a hole until I get it completely over the frame. And then the end result would be something like this.
That's so interesting. So can you tell us a bit about how the different styles or sizes of drums might affect the sound that they make?
Sure. The larger the drum, the deeper the sound. So let's see, today it was really damp, so when it's damp outside, the drums sound real flat. See that? Because it's still damp. But if I lay this in the sun for maybe 10 minutes, the heat from the sun is going to tighten up this hide, and then I'm going to get a good beat. Now, the smaller the drum is, the tinnier it'll sound. So this is the same style drum, but this sounds deeper because it doesn't have as much space to tighten up. That's a much bigger drum, so it takes a lot more. So this one's a little bit tighter. And then we have double-sided drums, which are these are made from a tree, a hollow tree, and then this you just stretch over. So this is a little echoey because you have skins on both sides, so that's more of a tambourine style. So I have a few different styles of this. This is a very difficult drum to make because this is made out of buffalo hide. These are all made out of cow hide, but this particular drum is made out of buffalo hide, and so it's really takes on the elements, And then this particular drum is a water drum, and they're generally made out of pieces of wood, but this one is made out of PVC tubing. So kind of use some of the modern things. The thing with water drums is when they're made out of wood, eventually the water cracks the wood and it begins to leak out. So a friend of mine came up with the idea of using PVC tubing. So what you do here is you pull this out, fill that up with water, put that in, take the hide and stretch it over until it's super tight, and then it'll give you, there's no water in it, but it'll give you like that echoey sound if I had water in it. And then I have a bucket there, which showing, if you look on the floor right in front of my table, is a bucket which will show you how I soak the skins in that bucket.
So can you tell me a bit about the occasions that these drums are used for?
Sure. Well, we use our drums for ceremony. We use them for dances. I mean, if you could hear in the background that drumming sound, there's some powwow dancing going on over there. So they're using the big drum. The drum is used socially, and it's used for ceremonies as well. And then it's used in traditional ways. These types of water drums are used mainly by Eastern Woodlands people, and these tambourine-style drums are used. They're used for lots of different songs and ceremonies. There's different ways and different beats. There's a straight beat. There's a kind of a two-step beat, and then there's that where we get that little vibration going.
So are you also a performer in addition to making these drums?
I spend more time performing than I do actually making a drum. And next month, the 2nd of June, at the Middlesex County Fairgrounds in East Brunswick, we put on a full 2-day festival of Native American singing, dancing. Native Americans from all over the country come to celebrate for 2 days there.
So folks can come see the drums in action.
They can come see the drums in action.
Fantastic. Well, Cliff, thank you so much for talking with us today.
Hi, my name is Chin, and I'm here at the Folk Festival, and I'm demonstrating jewelry making or metal smithing. And I'm a native person, Narragansett and Blackfeet, and most of my designs are from our culture. And so you see some designs here that I'm working on, like a shaman and a buffalo herd and geometric beadwork design. And these are original arrow points that are thousands of years old. And I cap them like what I'm wearing or here. And I've been working on making the silver work to be able to cap the arrow points. This arrow point alone might be about 15,000 years old, and this one's around 500. And then I also walk the beach and try to find sea glass and if I can get enough, I'll make a necklace. Now this has been about 2 or 3 years of collecting sea glass. It takes a long time to find pieces of glass on the beach that are usable. And then it's some of my tools, and I make my own tools, a lot of them, not all of them, of course. And some of these stamping tools are made out of files, old files, and I even use clothes hangers to make pokers and stuff like that. So when I'm soldering, and you see my piece of wood that I make, and you see how thin the blade is. The saw blade, it's a jeweler's saw. Someone asked me if it was a coping saw. No, it's a jeweler's saw with a very fine jeweler's saw blade. And we cut out the material with the saw. And here's how it's done. See? And it cuts through like butter. And there you go. So, and then very fine jeweler's files along with some big ones. And some handmade tools again, just nails and nail sets to make your own tools.
Fantastic. Chin, what got you into making jewelry in the first place, and what's the history of some of these pieces that you're making, these designs that you're using?
Okay, when I started making jewelry I was maybe about 15, 16 years old, about 1,000 years ago. I had wanted a pair of earrings, and I went to a store and they were $5, and I was like, wow, $5, I'm going to make my own. And that's how I got started. I just decided I was going to make my own, and if I wanted something, I'd make my own, because I could always make things anyway. If I wanted a pair of sandals, I made them. I want a pair of moccasins, I'll make them. So I started just making my own things, and people liked it, and they said, can I buy a pair or have something? And then some stores asked me to put my work in their stores, and so it built up. So from when I'm like 15, 16 years old, it builds up until I was able to make a living at it, actually. And the tradition of silversmithing among Native people is a fairly young tradition. It's only about 150 years old, and it comes up from Mexico, where a lot of culture here in North America actually comes up from Mexico and spreads out. Silversmithing is mostly in the western area in those days way back. Up here in the Northeast, we used to use what people call German silver, which is not silver at all. It's actually just white brass. And they used to trade with the English for pieces of jewelry to put on their clothes. And then after a while, they say, well, why am I trading for this? I'll make it myself. And so that became the tradition among the Eastern Indians to make metal smithing also. So it's a fairly young history in terms of times of people, only like 150 years or so.
So did Native artists at that point, when they started working with silver, did they take designs and techniques that they had already used with other materials and use them with silver?
Absolutely. So any of our designs, our beadwork designs, would be interpreted in the metal. Like this, as an example, is a beadwork design, and so I interpreted it into the metal. And then this design here would have been painted on a teepee maybe, and I put it in the metal. This is just an image of a shaman in prayer, so it's the concept. It might have been something that was painted on a petroglyph. And so you interpret it in the metal. And right here, I'm cutting out feather designs, and then again, our arrow points, people would take an arrow and wrap it in maybe leather or rawhide and wear it. So I interpret all that into the metal, taking our ideas and crafts and interpreting it in the metal.
All right, well, thank you, Chin, for speaking with us about this wonderful work that you're doing.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
And thank you for watching. Here we are at the heritage area of the 2018 New Jersey Folk Festival, featuring local artists, and they've been telling us a bit about the history of the arts in New Jersey. Thank you to Angus Gillespie for letting me take over the show today, and thank you for watching.